compartment and just lower exhaust temperatures, because it's, as he locks again, that it's that exhaust temperature that's a real problem to the turbo in the Bluebird engine. Spinning at 100,000 revs a minute with enormous temperatures passing over the little turbine blades that are spun up by the exhaust gases, turning another turbine that brings the mixture into the engine under pressure, therefore giving it much greater performance than normal 1.8 litre four-cylinder motor. Grice back with Moffat. How did he do it? Fury running to the outside and delighted to see them scrapping, but Fury with his own problems. And he's got Moffat. That was 3 abreast, and I don't know how any of them did it, and Fury loved it. Brilliant stuff. And that is a continuing turn, that section of track. Well done, everybody. Clean, hard racing, and good stuff, the rally driver. Now lying second. Ooh. Had to gain our breath a little bit on that one. Grice sort of probably still thinking to himself, what did I do wrong? I had Moffat there. And pit crews will now be rather surprised when they see this order. And Fury will be very keen. Let's have a look at it. Look at it. Moffat was leading the front, locked up, went wide, Grice underneath. Grice then got crossed up trying to stay off him. That was what gave Fury his chance. He came right across Moffat's bows, could not help it, wasn't intentional. Moffat tried to get right of him and down the clean inside run, but Fury said, I'm there. Next time you're in close company, a metre or two from cars in traffic at 50 or 60 kilometres an hour, and you think you're close, just think back to that situation at very high speed indeed. But Fury, with a brake locking problem, that hasn't been common to the car, but will not please him at this stage. The gap from Brock to Fury is 5.4 seconds. Moffat a little way behind, and his team manager, Alan Horsley, is down with Drew Morfitt.
Alan, you got a little bit behind Peter Brock, and now also George Fury's got you. Is it going to plan for you?
It's not exactly going to plan, but as the tank lightens off, I think we'll move up closer to them. Peter may be a little far away, but I think we can get the Datsun.
Yeah, well, Brock made an amazing start. Did that surprise you?
Oh, no, Peter's a professional, and he can always get off the line well.
And Alan Moffat so often comes from behind to win it. That was always going to be a plan? Just went a little bit...
Well, yes, we're not making a pit stop. But when that tank lightens off, you know, we'll start increasing our lap speeds.
All right. I know you're a bit nervy in the pits, so I'll let you go back.
Thanks very much.
Half distance, and Peter Brock holds a 5.41 second lead over George Fury as Alan Moffat comes down the outside now, challenging at the end of the main straight.
Goes to second. Fury third. Grice fourth. So Commodore's 1 and 4. Mazda second. Nissan Bluebird third. And behind that collection is Dick Johnson, the Falcon 17. And then the Harrop Cullen Commodore number 22. Sixth, followed then in 38 by Bernie Stack Commodore.
And again, that smoke from Fury's car, he is really punishing the tyres on the left-hand side of his vehicle, and it could have dire consequences for him later in the race.
I think he's got the brake balance a little bit more inclined as he goes wide and tempts Alan Grice and comes in very late on the banking just to hold Grice out. He's got the brake balance too much to the rear, a little bit like he might like to have it in rallies to help get the tail of the car out. And in fact, Howard Marsden was telling me yesterday, George Fury used to drive his rally car and set it up with more oversteer than any other car as Grice goes back to third, question mark, and he does. And Fury, no, Grice will hold him, taking the inside to the next corner. If it had been a right-hander, Fury would have had him. So, plenty of mixing there, and Grice far from tired of arguing. The series leader having to get into this argument too. He's been able to stay out of a lot of the intense dicing, Fury, by dint of consistency. He's one of only 2 people to have finished all rounds, and the only car driver combination to have done the full lap distance of every race. And so, with the point scores, points that he's been getting, plus the fact that he gets more points in running it as an under 3 litre car than any of the cars against which he's scrapping at the moment, he hasn't had to argue too hard. But now, for instance, if Alan Moffat were able to attack Peter Brock, then you'd see a situation where Moffat first would get 25 and Fury, let's say third, would get 24 or less if he came further back. So suddenly he's in a position of dropping points to Moffat, which he hasn't previously been in the series. And so he has to keep a keen eye on Moffat's position in the field as well as his own. In the 8 rounds, they drop 1. Fury at the moment has 99 points. His worst finish, 21 from 4th at Sandown. There's the situation. Alan Moffat running second with 73. If Fury were to count only 3 rounds, as all the drivers below are doing, bar Harrington actually, Harrington's the other one that's had 4 finishes, then he would be on 78 points, only 5 in front of Moffat. And if Moffat picks up a point or 2 in this one, well, then it gets even closer. 2 seconds now, the gap. That man to the pursuer, the hunter, Alan Moffat.
"30 laps down, 10 to go." Peter Brock in the lead, but tenuously from Alan Moffat, with Grice in a frustrating 3rd position. Grice is a man who loves to make his break from the start, and he's let first Brock and then Moffat get away from him. Moffat now locking wheels, as you can see, as he comes so close to Peter Brock.
So it's Commodore battles Mazda as he gets ever closer. Brock against Moffat, and appropriately Cigarette Company against Cigarette Company.
0.98 of a second, and you can put the watches away from here on in, because it's a case of visual distance. And now the 2 men who are regarded as being the best touring car drivers in Australia begin a battle, a 10-lap sprint, a 9-lap sprint to the finish.
Grice is still 3rd, Fury still 4th, Johnson still 5th, and the Cullen Commodore still 6th.
And alongside, giving Peter Brock very little opportunity to get over, although Brock tries, and by giving Moffat that small nudge, serves notice on him.
This is the point that Moffat was making to me yesterday when I said, with the sort of lap time you've got, you should be able to run away from them. He said, down that straight, they are so much quicker than I am that it's very hard for me to do much at in the other areas, particularly if they